Today, we're diving into a really strange situation in Meghalaya. You see, the government has this big initiative called a green mission to protect its forests. But here's the twist. Those very same forests are vanishing faster than ever. So how is that even possible? Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is the central question that really makes you stop and think, right? I mean, there's an official state mission to protect forests. Logically, you'd expect things to get better, or at the very least, stay the same. But the data tells a completely different and pretty alarming story. We're going to find out why.
So here it is, laid out plain and simple. On one side, you've got the promise, the mission statement, protect and conserve forests. Sounds great. But on the other side, you've got the hard, cold reality from official data, a loss of 84 square kilometers of forest in just a 2-year span. How can both of these things be true at the same time? It just doesn't add up.
Okay, to really solve this puzzle, we've got to rewind and start at the very beginning. Let's take a closer look at this mission itself and what it was actually supposed to do.
What's really interesting is that right in its own definition, the mission shows the government knew exactly what the problem was. It literally calls out indiscriminate felling of trees. So there's no question. They were fully aware of the challenge right from the start. So knowing the problem is one thing, but how did that translate into actual policy? What did they officially promise they were going to deliver? And the objectives were crystal clear. This wasn't some vague feel-good statement. They were specific. Protect all kinds of forests, stop illegal tree cutting, and get this, actually reverse the loss of green cover. These are measurable goals, not just nice ideas. All right, so with those clear promises fresh in our minds, let's turn to the evidence. What does the data from that same period actually show? Because this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. And this number, 84 square kilometers, it just powerfully illustrates the scale of this problem. This isn't just a tiny discrepancy, it's a huge, significant loss of vital forest. This is the figure that blows the whole paradox wide open. Now, this timeline is absolutely critical. So the Green Mission was officially active during this time. But look at that second point. Forest loss didn't just keep happening, it accelerated. It actually got worse, not better, during the exact period this so-called protective mission was supposed to be in full effect. Wild, right? And just to put this into context, this wasn't happening in a bubble. Across the entire Northeast region, Meghalaya ranked 3rd for the highest amount of forest loss. This tells us we're looking at a really severe problem, even on a regional scale. So why? How on earth did a mission with such clear goals fail so spectacularly? Well, this leads us straight to the core of the issue. The investigation uncovered a massive, gaping hole between the mission's words and its actual actions on the ground. This one single quote from the source material, it just says it all, doesn't it? The mission was announced, it sounded good, but without any real teeth to enforce it, it was really nothing more than an empty promise, just a slogan. The reason it was just a slogan boils down to these 3 massive failures. First, there was no dedicated budget for enforcement. Second, there was no system in place to actually penalize people breaking the rules. And third, there was no support for the communities who rely on the forest, which basically left them with no other option. And this table just lays out that gap with brutal clarity. The goal was to protect forests, but the reality? Officials weren't penalizing illegal felling. The goal was investment, but the money went to one-off ceremonies and photo ops, not long-term sustained conservation. The goal was to support communities, but farmers were offered 0 other ways to survive. It's a total disconnect. So, knowing all this, the big question is, what's next? This is the part where information becomes a powerful tool for accountability. You know, just understanding the problem is step 1, and it's a huge step. But the next, even more crucial step is to use that knowledge to ask the right questions and push for real change. So here's how you can do that. First things first, follow the money. A mission without a real budget is just an idea on paper. If you demand to see exactly how the money is allocated, how much goes to enforcement versus, say, public ceremonies, that forces transparency. Then you can verify the promises for yourself, right there on the ground. Are the areas that are supposedly under protection actually being looked after, or are they just lines drawn on a map? This is all about checking the reality against the rhetoric. And finally, insist on what is probably the ultimate tool for accountability: data.
Regular public reports should be completely non-negotiable for a real mission. A lack of data on penalties, that's an answer in itself. And that really leaves us with this final, powerful takeaway. It's a simple, clear test. If there are no penalties being issued for breaking the rules, then for all practical purposes, the mission simply isn't active. It's a pretty easy to understand metric that cuts right through all the noise and gets to the truth. So is it a real mission, or is it just a green slogan? The data holds the answer.